Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the July Bytown Economic Development Housing Committee Subcommittee meeting. I will call the meeting to order at 1:03 p.m. Any additions or changes to the agenda?
No.
Great. Hopping right into it. So Gretchen's going to be a few minutes late. We were supposed to go over some of this stuff together, so I will do my best until she gets here. Basically, at one point here, Gretchen and I had presented to you guys our idea for an accessory dwelling unit program that we would offer money to property owners to build an accessory dwelling unit on their property that would be held for employees of the Deerfield Valley. I think I sent this out to you guys prior to our last meeting. We discussed it a little bit there. I didn't get any other notes after. So we will be putting this in front of our boards on Tuesday night to discuss. And if you have feelings one way or another about the program or its need, feel free to join either the Dover or Wilmington meetings as we discuss it. Does anyone have any questions for me on the program? If you haven't seen it and would like to, just shoot me an email and I can send it over to you so that you can take another look at it. I know we've talked about it a couple of times, but basically providing up to $10,000 to that property owner, $5,000 up front for design and permitting, and another $5,000 on the back end for the completion, with that money needing to be returned if the occupancy requirements aren't met by the property owner, getting an employee of the Deerfield Valley into that housing and things like that. So that's what we're putting in front of the board. Any questions for me on that? Great. All right. We're gonna come back to the Homes for All toolkit because that was something that Gretchen had asked to be on the agenda. So I don't have all of that information right in front of me at the moment. Moving along, the landlord support group. So we've been having discussions with Todd Garris, who's kind of he was a part of this group, has actually stepped back from this group, but would still like to remain a part of the formation of the landlord support group because he's kind of the one whose idea this was. He's the one with all the information. We'll get to it here in a second. We are kind of seeking some funding, for some of these initiatives so that we can be offering, whether it's, a little more paid educational resources for those landlords, whether it's food, or like a light catering to entice landlords to actually come to these meetings and have these discussions with us. So that's kind of where that is. Tying into this, I had a pretty extensive conversation with Todd about the resources that we share from our website, and we've been working through the back end on that to try to get those resources honed into something that makes it beneficial for landlords to be using that website and looking to that website for resources. So all of that is a part of what we're doing with that landlord support group, and all of the information pertaining to that landlord support group would then be coming from that website as well as our social media pages. As of right now, I know Todd's out of town, so we're on a bit of a pause with the support group, but as soon as he gets back, we'll be hitting the ground running with that. Two people entered meeting. Sorry. So we'll be hitting the ground running with the landlord support group to get that up and running once Todd's back. Any questions on that piece?
Eric, do we have a number of how many landlords there are in either Dover or Wilmington?
We have a general idea. I know that there are more in Wilmington than there are in Dover in terms of long-term rentals. But we have a tentative list, and we hope to grow that very soon. Okay. And Cliff, I did receive your email regarding your thoughts around the support group, so I appreciate your input there. Okay, any other questions on landlord support group? All right, perfect. Gretchen, we're gonna hop back up to item number 3, which is the Homes for All toolkit promotion. You had talked about this being on the agenda, so I didn't know if you wanted to speak on it. You're muted, I think.
Sorry, I'm late. So this is a really good tool for private developers that are just kind of like getting started because it's cookie cutter. And this is kind of, I brought this up at our last meeting, and they have an actual toolkit, and I was trying to figure out, I think they have actual hard copies, and perfect. And it says, so click on that Vermont Homes for All toolkit on the side, the actual. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's pretty lengthy to print out, but I don't know, should we spend, like, we don't have really any funding right now, but I'm wondering if this is something that we should get a few copies of and give it to, our developer list. It's 224 pages. But it's kind of like it really helps, I'm trying to find the words here, for to get through zoning. And it's got the plans. It's kind of like a cookie cutter thing where you pull this, information, like it's all created, like the design of the buildings, et cetera, and you pull that off and you take it to the development review board in your community and, for your particular property. And it just like, it streamlines it a little bit. And especially having, this in other communities, it's easier to approve. So
maybe we just give the yes website to all those long-term renters in Dover and Wilmington, and because it's 224 pages, that's a lot it's easier just to send them the link.
Well, I think Gretchen.
Yeah, I was just thinking that they won't open the link.
Yeah, and I think it wasn't necessarily long-term renters as much as it was, we have a list of developers that we had sent some information to previously. And I think that's who Gretchen was referring to.
Yeah, I don't think that we would be sending this to long-term renters. I'm thinking more of developers like, Ray Reed and, there's Ed Earhart's son-in-law. He wants to get involved in creating some housing. So it's for, like multiple units.
We think that if someone was interested in getting some shortcuts and getting some guidance, they would open up the 224 page
Right.
and use it to their advantage. And when he was scrolling before, it looked like there were several towns that have already started an initiative, and they could look at that too and see, I just send them the link. If they open it, they open it. If they don't, then, then that means that developer probably doesn't want to do anything. I mean, that's just a guess, but.
Right.
This is it's definitely a good resource. Even if we share via the socials, this is a great example of something we should be sharing via the social. This is something we can be, we talked when Todd and I spoke about the website, it was about kind of clearing up like what pages are for who. So, on a developer specific page, this is the type of resource that they would be looking for specific to that development. So I know that we can share it that way. And if we do have, it sounds like people kind of want to go the email route, send the link. So I think if Gretchen and I have those contacts for those developers, then we can share it with them that way. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, so I could share on Facebook. So do you think that we should do a physical letter, or do you think that we should, I mean, we had a really good response when we did a physical letter the last time, or should we just do email?
No, I think I would not be opposed to sending a letter, just at least pointing them in the direction. It doesn't cost us as much as obviously printing out however many copies of the 224 page document. It's literally just some paper and stamps to say, hey, we've reached out to you with this information. We think it might be useful to you. We can absolutely draft a letter to do that. Is that something you want me to put together, Gretchen, or?
Yeah, if you don't mind putting, like the letter together, and that would be great.
Okay, I will do that.
So it's
Alright.
gonna cover both towns, both names on it.
Yep. We'll use our logo. I think we're okay with something like this as on the letterhead, obviously not on black, but is everybody okay with this?
We don't see it.
Oh, I guess I have to share my screen.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Yeah.
I send an email and a letter.
Mhm.
If they have the email, they can click on the link and then they can just go.
That's true.
Yeah, but I think to Gretchen's point, I think it's not a terrible idea to follow up with a letter and say, hey, we recently contacted you
Right.
by email with this super important information, because people get a lot of emails. It's easy to think that it's not important and breeze through it. So I think if we follow up with a letter, that's important. So yeah, I was referring to the logo we use here for the letterhead,
Yep.
contact information and things like that. So I will absolutely get that together, Gretchen, and we'll get that out. Okay.
That's good.
How many developers are on the list? Like 20 or 30 or 10?
It's 10.
10, yeah.
10 to 12, right, Eric?
Yep.
Mhm.
So
Eric, do you know if any of the designs would accommodate a modular build?
in that toolkit,
Yes, I think it does.
yeah.
Mhm.
I would think it might be beneficial if there was at least a couple designs they could do modular, because getting builders is pretty difficult.
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw something in here about that. My other question, I guess, is how much, they spent the time to put this all together, and then our legislators made the changes to Act 250 in terms of development and those things. I'm wondering how that lines up with what they're presenting to us here. I know Adam made the comment this morning, like, good luck if you've tried to read through any of that information, but the basic gist of it was that it made it a lot easier to move forward with the development in the urban areas, i.e. Brattleboro, Rutland, Burlington, but was going to put more restrictions on, some of the rural areas, i.e. Wilmington, Dover, and others. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, but yeah, Gretchen, thank you for bringing this back to our attention. And we will move forward with sharing it as many ways as possible. Okay. All right, funding sponsorships. So we had spoken a little bit about how to go about this to get some dollars to, again, be doing things like working with our developers, be sponsoring kind of those get-togethers with the landlords, promoting the website once that's reached its final, or at least closer to final iteration in terms of sharing information and things like that. I know that Gretchen put together a letter that I signed off on and sent to Dan, we had, you know, at Mount Snow, we had reached out and asked about maybe looking to the mountain for some financial support. You know, I think the general consensus of this group was not to go to the boards, but to ask the local businesses to help chip in on something like that. So I think we still have some work to do in terms of other local businesses, but I do know that that letter did go off to Mount Snow. Gretchen, did you have comments on?
Dan, do you know the timeline on that? Of when we might hear?
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay.
I haven't received, the only thing that I've received from our legal team is that they've received it. And that's it. So as soon as I hear about it, I'll certainly share it out with everybody.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan, and thanks for taking the time to get that in front of them. That's, you know, we appreciate it. So
No problem.
Is there anybody that would be interested in going to like Brattleboro Savings and Loan or one of the banks?
okay.
Hearing none.
Noted. Let's see.
Well,
From what
question,
I hear, there's going to be a new general manager at M&T, who is familiar with our wants and needs and the work that we've been doing over numerous years. So I think it would be good to speak with them. Do we think it's okay? Oh, go ahead, Vicky.
so I think before we launch it, we need to think of a goal of what we want to try to get in funding.
Okay.
Are we looking for 1,000? Are we looking for 5,000? What are we looking for? And I don't have that answer.
Yeah, I don't know that we've established like an actual dollar amount. It was more just that we wanted money available to us so that when we had things to market or to do. Gretchen, did we have a dollar amount in mind? Was it
I mean,
5,000?
in my mind, I was thinking, you know, $5,000.
Okay.
You know, we asked 2,500 from Mount Snow. So, you know, I was thinking like $5,000 in my mind would be a good pot to have available for, you know, the landlord support group, putting that together. There's some things on the future agenda, you know, like standing up our, you know, like a little bit of advertising through our social media, you know, development of those digital ads, things like that.
I think that, Eric, you should ask the board if they want to put money, select board. I think that the town, this is a very important piece for the town, and I have no problem, you know, weighing in on it at a meeting. I think that that's the easiest solution and best use of resources for the two of you. I mean, I'm serious.
No, I only chuckle because we had this discussion at the last meeting, and I think you were, it might have been the one you had to leave early, Vicky. I don't remember.
Probably.
But we had this discussion and it was determined like, no, don't go to the boards, go to the local businesses. I think our initial thought was to go to the boards. I mean, we in Dover anyway, in this fiscal year, we have $100,000. So even if we voted to implement the accessory dwelling unit program, which I think blocks off about 50,000 of that, we'd still have 50,000 for implementation of the housing program. And we, you know, I think the board would be amenable to using some of those funds towards this type of thing.
I agree. So
I think you should go to the select boards as well. I mean, I know that like Brattleboro Savings and Loan, they do their fundraising at one time a year. They go through it and they allocate money and then that's it. And I don't know what month that is, but that's how they do it. So even if you ask Brattleboro Savings and Loan, you probably wouldn't get the money till next year because this year's already been allocated for. At least that's my understanding of it.
Gretchen, are you okay with going to the Wilmington board?
Yeah, I guess I'll do it.
Okay,
I'm just like, again, because I find that it's such a small pot of money that I was thinking sponsorships is a much easier way to go about it.
right.
But if, Dover is really insistent on going, I feel like this really has to be kind of a 50-50 thing because we are so shared resources. And I don't know. So
Maybe we
Uh,
wait
First,
till
and
Snow gives the 2,500 and then you just go back to both select board and say, hey, will you match it? Or split it or whatever.
Um,
I
my-
say let Dover go first. We can put it on an agenda. We can talk about it. We can fund a number, and then Gretchen can, say we need to pull our weight in Wilmington too.
okay. So, sorry, I'm just adding it to. If I go to the board, like, if we're looking for $5,000, right?
Mhm.
My thought is that Gretchen and I each approach the boards for half. In the hopes, in the hopes that Mount Snow wanted to hop in, but if they don't, like, we don't want to have to go back to the board and say,
Right.
hey, we didn't get the other 2,500 we were looking for. I think and Gretchen, you can say different if you'd like, but my thought would be to go to each board for 2,500.
let's just go for 5,000. Let's just do it. Thank
Each?
you. Yes,
Okay,
that's what we'll do.
okay,
I probably will not be able to, because I can't get it on the agenda for next week. Because I don't have the time to put that together, because I'm leaving tomorrow morning, but I could, so it won't be till the end of August that I could go, unless we have a special meeting that I can throw it on.
okay. No worries. I think we've come this far, right? Like we're not, this isn't, we need this funding tomorrow by any means, it's just that once we get it, we can
Right.
start allocating it. So no worries there. I will put it in front of my board and you put it in front of yours and we'll reconvene after we've both had a chance to do that. Okay. All right. So I think that wraps up the housing funding discussion. Moving right along. The vacant building inventory. What do we have right now? I don't think, I mean, we anecdotally, I know we know where the vacant buildings are. I don't think do we have a Google spreadsheet on this one?
We do. Mhm.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find that real
Okay.
quick.
Let me just,
Oh, wait a minute. It is in Google, isn't it? I might have trouble finding that.
okay.
Um,
So basically, Gretchen and I do have this list going. I think the support we could use from you guys is if, we can probably share this with the group. No, oh, was this one we didn't want to share publicly?
yeah, we can, I feel like that, we just don't want somebody printing this off and handing it out because that feels really, really yucky. We would much prefer people, using this internally amongst ourselves. If you know of, if you know of a property that is vacant and might be available, or B, the vice versa of that somebody's looking for property and we can, easily access this list, just makes it a little bit more streamlined for everybody.
Yep.
And let's see. Oh man,
That's okay.
I'm
No, I
not
don't-
having luck today with my laptop, that's for sure.
No worries. So Gretchen, when you find that, if you want to share, I can send out to the group.
Okay.
And I don't know, depending on the permissions, you may have to ask Gretchen for permission to open it. Which may actually be the best way to go about it, because then we can be sure that it's not shared outside of the committee. But I will get that link out to everybody when I send more information from this meeting. Okay. So basically what we're looking for is to build that vacant building inventory list, so that when we come across, opportunities for funding or any of those things, that we can be sharing it with those property owners, to try to take advantage of those vacant spaces. Gretchen, did you have anything else you wanted to say about that?
Nope, I think that's it. Are you sure that we didn't split them up into Dover and Wilmington?
I'm pretty
You don't
positive.
have one?
No, but I will look on my end as well, because I know you shared it with me.
So do you mind, can I share my screen?
Yep, hold on. I think I have to make you. Okay. Gretchen, you're the host now. There you go.
Okay, I'm trying to get, okay, there we go. So this is kind of what we, and this needs to be updated a little bit. But name of property, it's kind of like almost taking like a property card and putting it into a spreadsheet, because it's easier, just to read. Especially if somebody's looking for a particular square footage or, something like that. So, but this is what, I believe I sent to you, Eric, to do for Dover.
Okay.
And, maybe there is some, for, I wonder, what do I have on sheet 2? Nothing. But, oh, that's rental property. I separated them, but I didn't have anything in there.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay. Yeah, actually, I guess I don't have this one in my drive. So Gretchen, if you don't mind
Yeah,
sharing the link, if you don't mind sharing the link with me, I will duplicate and make a Dover, and then we can share that out to the group.
okay. Or, I mean, how do you think that we should do this? Maybe we should have a combined.
You could almost just add extra tabs, I feel like, right? Onto the,
Yeah,
okay,
like make this Wilmington, you go to sheet 2 and make Dover.
yep,
What does everybody think of that?
Yeah.
But like the A-frame on 49 Route 100, that's Airbnb now.
Yeah, that's done. Yeah.
So
And then-
Like I said, this one needs to be updated.
Yeah, the
North
North
Border-
Country building, he's Airbnb, but there's some part of the building he isn't using, so that could be part of it anyways.
and is Airbnb and residents.
Yeah. And the Green Mountain flagship building, I believe that they're turned that into, it's a residence, I think right now, it's sold.
Yeah, it's a residence. Yeah.
What's
So-
the village hub reference? Who's that? Apartments up, oh, basement. Oh, I get it.
Right. So it was for sale. It's no longer for sale.
I think this is a great example of why it is important for us to share this information with each other, because some of us have information on the properties that others might not, so it's keep that list current. So Gretchen, if you want to share with me, I will make a Dover sheet on that file and then kick it out to the group, and we can all kind of work together to update it. Okay. Awesome. After the last meeting, And I had sent an email asking for questions from any of you for us to put in the frequently asked questions section of our website. I heard from 3 of you, which is great. Thank you for doing that. I will put that out there again. If you could literally just send me 2 or 3 questions that as a landlord you would have, that would be really helpful. Or if you have friends that are landlords and they have questions, I mean, anything we can, it's just, again, it's all part of building those resources on that website to make it as useful as possible. And this one's not a huge lift. So if you get a chance, shoot me an email, 2 or 3 questions about being a landlord. They can be, they don't have to be super in depth. You don't have to have a ton of knowledge into being a landlord. Just thoughts off the top of your head. The first couple of questions that come to your head about being a landlord here in the Deerfield Valley would be incredibly helpful. Okay. Next item, group name. Gretchen, you had wanted to discuss this a little bit. I think there's maybe a discrepancy between what we call ourselves on Facebook and what our website is, and kind of how we end. Also the confusion with being the Bytown Economic Development Housing Committee. So Gretchen, you wanted to discuss this a bit?
So, I mean, I've just been having, people very confused about who we are. And, I think that it might be a good idea to try to combine these 2 efforts. I think we thought, our committee through the Bytown Economic Development Committee, that we would be just a quick little ad hoc off of there. And, we've been meeting for several years, and I think people get confused between Bytown Housing and Bytown Economic Development. And, should we be calling ourselves, and of course we would have to take this back to the Bytown Committee. But changing it to the Deerfield Valley Housing. Isn't that how we refer to us on Facebook? I mean, I'm sorry, on the website.
Yep.
And I think that's how we refer to ourselves on Deerfield, on Facebook as well, is Deerfield Valley Housing. So, because Bytown doesn't really say who we are, like you could be Bytown anywhere. So, I don't know. What's everybody's thoughts? Do you want to just continue as is, or, should we, have you heard this issue, about it, or it might be just an issue with me. I don't know.
Actually, yeah, no. So I have received emails from a number of people saying, "Oh, I thought this was this," or, "I thought this meeting was today." So much like marketing, Bytown Housing is a subcommittee of the Economic Development Committee. So I think, we do refer to ourselves as Deerfield Valley Housing. But I think if we just maybe it's Deerfield Valley Housing, is the subcommittee of the Bytown Housing. So I think in order to clear up like some of the confusion, like when we list meetings and things like that, maybe we can not call it, like our agenda says Bytown Economic Development Housing Committee. So if people don't actually read what they're looking at, then that creates a problem. So maybe we should just, in terms of agendas and things like that, yes, we are still the subcommittee of Bytown Economic Development, but we start referring to these meetings as the Deerfield Valley Housing Committee meetings. Is everybody okay with that? Is that what you were saying would need to be approved by Bytown?
Yeah, I think that we need to go back to Bytown. Don't you think, Vicky?
I don't know. I mean, we kind of just, when we were created, you're right. I don't think we thought about that we'd still be here discussing some of the same stuff we've been discussing for years. So I think it's, I don't know that anybody would have any objections with it. I don't slow it down because we only meet every 2 months. So that's kind of, I think it would be more prudent to get it changed to a less clunky name ASAP. And then we'll just report that we found that we outgrew that name.
I like that.
I like that as well.
Consistent with the website and the social media. I mean, if it's already out there, we might as well just continue with it.
Yeah, so I think our Facebook is Deerfield Valley Housing, correct, Gretchen?
Yes,
Yeah, that's what I went off of when I was building the website stuff. So
right.
I'll update agendas, and when we list the meetings and things like that, we'll stick to that Deerfield Valley Housing Committee name, and then, like Vicky said, we can just alert the Bytown the next time we meet. I'm sure that no one will burn the village down once they find out. All right, moving right along. Gretchen and I had a brief conversation about reaching out to Camoin about getting an update on our housing analysis. So we did the housing analysis. This was prior to me getting here, but it was completed, I believe, in 2019, right? Which was awesome. Fast forward through the global pandemic and housing boom and everything else, and some of the data provided to us by Camoin is absolutely no longer relevant. So Gretchen and I had a discussion about possibly reaching back out to Camoin, not to redo the entire analysis, but at least to get some updated data to kind of help guide us with our decision making and things like that. We wanted to bring it to you all to have a discussion about what your thoughts were with that. We think it's important to have that updated data and be working off a pertinent document. Questions, thoughts, concerns, comments?
I'd just like to add that, the data piece, but there's also so many more resources out there that, that could be implemented possibly, and ideas around housing, that I think that would be another key component of what we'd be asking, like give us some implementation strategies to use, because we've really kind of burned through 2019's. So is there new stuff out there that we could be implementing?
Thoughts?
Cost.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, we have the housing study. We've tried to use it as a roadmap. It hasn't been super successful. I agree that old data and old ideas are not a good thing to work from, but I don't know how we go back for more money for that too, because this, no matter what, this is not going to be cheap, even for an update. So we have this expensive, work that was done, and we haven't really been able to launch it. That's just all what I have to say.
Okay.
Do we know how much it cost, Eric, for the study? How much the study cost?
We don't. So I think the idea was we speak about it as a group to see if it's something we're even interested in entertaining. And then at that point, we would reach out to Camoin to see what we're looking at in terms of expense.
But do we know how much the old one cost, the old study?
Yeah.
Wasn't it 35?
Yeah, I think it was in the 30s, yes.
If I remember right. Yeah, I think it was 35, somewhere's in there.
I think we split it 17 each. 35,000. I don't think it hurts to ask what the rough cost would be, and then we can evaluate it again. I mean, if it's going to be another 35,000, that's going to be a big pill to swallow.
Yep.
Well, and our other piece is, because we have procurement policies too, that we might have to follow. And maybe we can't ask Camoin for an update. We might have to put it out there.
But if we had to put it out there for this, then that next company is starting from scratch. Which that just boom right at the top.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, not to get around procurement, but I think if we have an idea of what that costs for an update, then we set the budget as that, and any company who's trying to come in to update someone else's report at that level would have to justify how they would be able to do that, I think. Right. So Gretchen, why don't we reach out and at least we'll just ask the question?
Sure. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, if you don't mind, that would be great.
Sure, I'll call Rachel.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, guys. And then the last thing that we have on the agenda for today was Gretchen was going to give us an update from the Southeastern Vermont Housing Coalition.
Yes, this is really cool because we just had our meeting, so it's great to be able to update you with new information. So there was a lot, so the coalition has actually changed up their the way that they're working, and they have a lot of these little subcommittees, and you know, from homelessness to, you know, a developer one, housing services, which I am joining. So I have not been to one of those meetings as of yet, but this is a big coalition meeting of all together. And Emily Kornheiser is the chair. Well, not really a chair. She's the facilitator, I guess. So I did hear some good information on the VHIP, which is the Vermont Housing Improvement Program. That, you know, right now, these are the this is the program that helps you know, people develop a unit or renovate a unit, and they can get I think $35,000 to $500,000 to do that. So they so that program is currently closed right now, and they're going through a lot of applications. They didn't give the number, but it closed May 31st, and they will be deciding soon. Now, they have said that in the legislature that they have allocated more funding for this program. So when they launch that, you know, it's to be determined. But so, and that's been really successful for our valley. Actually, a lot of people have taken advantage of that program. So good stuff there. The Housing Services Committee, just so you know, is, you know, really kind of about networking, what other communities are doing, resources, you know, putting resources out there, projects and programs, updates, and municipal town, you know, like helping municipalities. So that's why I'm going on to that committee. But there was, you know, 4 levels of pots, or 4 pots of money that was granted at the legislature this year. And what was the total? I don't know. It's huge. That's a lot of money. Lots of, like, in emergencies, housing, 44 million they've allocated to that. Homeless youth, 7 million. The VHIP program is being funded at 6 million. So Healthy Homes at 4 million. VHCB, that's Vermont Housing Conservation Board, they're getting 30 million. Vermont Housing Finance Agency is getting 25 million. Oh, here's a manufactured housing is getting 1 million. So there's a lot of money that's going to be coming down the pike for housing. So we have to keep our eye on that.
All right. Any questions for Gretchen on the Housing Coalition update? All right. Thank you
I
all.
have one more thing that I just want to point out. I was really kind of surprised at this. I just found this out yesterday, I think it was. So Woodstock, which we have kind of modeled this accessory dwelling unit incentive off of, they are also implemented a deed restriction incentive. So like if you go to sell your house, you and it is a long-term rental, then it has to stay as a long-term rental. Wow.
Yeah.
Try to get that one through here.
Yeah.
Well, I want to buy it to live in it, you know?
I know, right?
That's
Exactly. So I really would like to get a hold of this program because the person could have like misinterpreted the, but it's called deed restriction.
Hmm.
So,
Do they pay you for the deed restriction, Gretchen? Do they pay you?
yeah,
for that?
they do. They don't pay you. I think you get reduced taxes, and I would love to know how they do that because you can't touch the education tax
I was gonna say, it's got-
unless the town is reimbursing it. So,
Wow.
yeah, yikes, right?
At the new rate, I don't want to be reimbursing any of the education tax.
Yeah.
So. Excellent. So next meeting is not July 11th. Sorry about that.
It's not July 11th? Oh,
It is-
come on.
Today-
Can't we go back? I need
So-
another one of these months.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So we are looking at Thursday, August 8th, 1 to 2 o'clock. And I will reach out beforehand to make sure. I know that August gets a little tricky. So I will reach out to see who's going to be available for the meeting. And if we don't have enough people to sustain a meeting, then we'll make that call. So I'll reach out a little beforehand. But Gretchen and I have some marching orders in terms of the letter developed to developers and the vacant building inventory and the reaching out to Camoin. And you
And-
guys have your marching orders in terms of sending me some frequently asked questions. If you have not already, there's a number of you I know who already did. So thank you very much for doing that. But if you don't mind, kick me an email with 2 to 3 questions that you think would look good or be good in the frequently asked questions section for our website. Okay. Anything else?
I won't be here on August 8th.
Yeah.
I have a wedding to go to.
And Vicky, I know that week is terrible for you as well.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, if we could push it to the 15th, I would have no problem.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So tentatively then, why don't we say the 15th? Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we will plan on the 15th then, and I will send information out accordingly. Okay,
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next month.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.